that cop.
I believe that this election is a litmus test for American tolerance for fascism. The elements of fascism are rooted in this nationalistic drive for more babies for the state.
When prominent liberal personalities say it is bad to have kids, there is one simple mathematical equation you need to understand. If a society does not have kids, the society ceases to exist in a few generations.
Yep.
I've said this 100 times before. I mean, they just hate the family. That's all this is. What is fascism
about babies?
Mean here?
They hate babies.
No, I know.
Joy Reid is back once again with absolutely absurd statements being made and absurd things being done by Joy Reid. And Tim Pool is back once again, absolutely obliterating Joy Reid for the ridiculous and disgusting statements that she is making. Let's get into this clip here from Timcast, where Tim Pool absolutely demolishes Joy Reid, this woke MSNBC host, for ridiculous and absurd statements. Let's check this out.
I do believe that this election is a litmus test for American tolerance for fascism. Let me play the clip
Wasn't
for
she
you.
killed by that cop?
I believe that this election is a litmus test for American tolerance for fascism. The elements of fascism are rooted in this nationalistic drive for more babies for the state, for a strongman-driven nation, and a deep sort of state-based religiosity. So I do believe we have a media problem, and we do have some of our media that is leading people toward fascism. The question of America has become too soft and feminine. I think that is it's a fascist litmus test. So this question of whether the society is too soft and feminine, it was alarming to me that a majority of Hispanic Protestants agree, but that's not shocking. Immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country. This is one of the most terrifying things that you've heard a presidential candidate say, because it is straight out of Mein Kampf. 23% of Jewish respondents agree with that, because that's straight out Nazi talk.
So the majority of Jews don't. By the way, so the majority of Jews don't agree that that's something out of Mein Kampf. To be like 23% agree. You mean a minority? 1/4 of them?
I just want to stress, it's a death cult.
Yeah.
And I'm not being cute. Okay, This is not meant to be haha silly. When prominent liberal personalities say it is bad to have kids, there is one simple mathematical equation you need to understand. If a society does not have kids, the society ceases to exist in a few generations.
Yep.
I've said this 100 times before. I mean, they just hate the family. That's all this is. What is
fascism
about
babies?
Mean here?
They hate babies.
No, I know, exactly. And the safest place for a baby to exist is within the confines of a loving marriage, in a productive, happy, healthy family. They hate that. They can't stand that. The fact that she says having more children for the state, that just shows you where her head's at. That's what she thinks the purpose of children are. So when people say they want to have more children, she goes, more kids for the state? No. Children belong to their families.
But this is the same kind of ideology that says homeschooling is bad, like not wanting to go. So it's kids for the state if they're allowed to be educated. And
It's also the same ideology and the same side of the aisle that Joy Reid is on, that advocates so hard for abortion, that loses their minds whenever they're not allowed to do bad things to babies inside of women's stomach. You know, and that is another part of this that is very disturbing from Joy Reid. Not only does she not want you to have kids, not only does she not want you to homeschool your kids, she wants you to give up the kids to the state and to public school system and all this, but also she wants, I have to dance around what I'm saying here, but she also wants abortion, and not just her, but that entire side loses their minds. It's like there's memes going around everywhere where it's like, if we vote for Kamala, there's going to be possibly a World War III. The crime is going to stay the same or get worse. The immigration is going to stay the same or get worse. The economy is going to stay the same or get worse. And all of those things are already bad as they are. And yet everybody understands that. Oh, but abortion. But we want our rights to do bad things to children inside of women's stomachs. It's like crazy. The anti-kids agenda is definitely getting very disturbing. And people like Joy Reid are kind of frontlining that whole thing.
Controlled by the state. But if you just want to have them because you believe your culture is good, you believe your family is good, you think that America's a nice country and you don't want its birth rates to collapse, then you're a fascist.
Well, yeah, politically they're anti-family because a strong family is the greatest threat to a strong state. They're anti-human because, they just hate God and they hate everything God created and they hate everything God designed. The humans are made to work a certain way. life works best when we kind of follow the way God designed it and planned it, and leftists just resent that it's all about wanting to be your own God.
Yeah, and I'll take it a layer deeper too. Part of what being your own God means is defining your own terms of logic. The reality is, even though, of course, as a Catholic, I believe very strongly and firmly in Scripture and tradition, a lot of the moral rules that we're talking about here are just moral precepts that you can arrive at through pure
Natural law.
Natural logic. Yeah, exactly. So, for example, you don't need to have divine revelation to know that the best place for a child to be raised is within a family, and the best way to ensure that that happens is if you're not promoting sex outside of marriage, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, so many of what we call right-wing or even religious principles are just basic, straightforward logic that you don't actually need Scripture to inform you on.
You don't need commandments to honor your father and mother. And for the secular atheists out there who are like, I don't care about the commandments, then I'll throw it to Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War, when they discovered that Bucky Barnes
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
killed Tony Stark's mom, and Captain America says it wasn't him, it's not his fault, and he says, I don't care, he killed my mom. You don't need Scripture to explain to a man that he loves his mother and would kill someone who would dare harm his family. And the reason for it is basic logic and also rooted in science. When human beings survive, they are proving to reality that their strategy worked. When they have kids, they are proving to reality that they have survived beyond themselves. So when the child honors and trusts in their parents, they are inheriting survival traits. This is science, but it's also in Scripture. But there are people who, again, they reject anything that exists in a right-wing tradition because it is tradition, I suppose, or because they assume it's derived from nothing.
Well, yeah, and in reality is a reminder to everyone that there is something higher than you, that exists outside of you, that transcends you. And leftists resent that because their whole philosophy depends on the idea that you can speak reality into existence, that what you believe and what you say, you make your own reality and you make your own meaning. And when reality hits them in the face, that makes them go crazy.
They call it manifesting.
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of friends who are like manifesting things. And I'm like, bro, you're not like Ian thinks he can make it rain.
But I mean, even at the political
Babylon
level,
B manifests stuff by writing things in our headlines, and they come true.
That is
to each
true.
other.
Maybe you guys are going to discover a new religion here.
But no, I mean, even at the political level, obviously they don't discuss manifesting, but they'll talk about self-ID, which is essentially the same thing. I'm just a woman because I've said I'm a woman. Now, one of the funny things about self-ID is it inherently collapses in on itself. It's an absurdity. It's actually a logical contradiction, because if I were to say that I identify as a woman, right? Well, what do they say? Well, I didn't just become a woman. I've been a woman my whole life. Okay, so when I identified as a man, I wasn't really a man. So you're saying that my self-ID isn't always accurate.
Yeah, but they've been brainwashed to think this way. Like, there is no logic. There is no reason. It's just our side thinks like this. If you don't also think like this and try to propagate it further and force it down the throats of literally everyone, then you're going to be shunned from our group. And I think they've also done this. I don't want to get too deep on here for obvious reasons, but I think that people have been brainwashed. Like Joy Reid, she might be paid off by the people doing the brainwashing, or maybe she's just been brainwashed herself to think this. But people like Joy Reid, people like Destiny, Tim Pool is completely correct about them. And everybody else here on Timcast is completely correct about them. But it also, I would take it a step further. And I think they've been brainwashed by people because if you sit back and you think about it, it's like, why do these people care so much about the right for abortion? Why do these people care so much that I want to homeschool my kids? Why would they care so much about that they're willing to vote for Kamala Harris, which they know is a whole lot more likely to start World War III, a whole lot more likely to have horrible immigration, horrible crime rate, horrible economy, all of this stuff, right? Way more likely than Donald Trump. But they're willing to vote for Kamala Harris because of one reason, because of abortion and, some other things too. But really stupid reasons like, trans rights and all that other stuff. You think about it, like, maybe there's some kind of agenda. Like maybe this isn't on accident that people are thinking like this, that people they feel so strongly, they're so emotionally tied to abortion and having that right that they're willing to throw away literally everything else about their life. Crime, immigration, economy, World War III. They're willing to throw all of that away. World peace. They don't have world peace, but like peace within our country. There's no war going on within our country. They're willing to throw that away for the right to have abortions, which is insane because they already have the right to abortions. Like they already have that. And Donald Trump has said multiple times, I have no interest in taking away the right to abortion completely. But they're so brainwashed. And it makes you think, who is doing this brainwashing? Like, I don't think this is on accident. I don't think that just happens to be one of the things that these people believe. I don't think that's the case. I think what the case is they have an anti-children agenda. They have a depopulation agenda. And they have half the country doing their bidding completely now, voting for candidates that they know are worse for the country and for the entire world. But because they've convinced them that this depopulation agenda is a good thing, and if they don't allow you to depopulate the earth, then they're evil people. They've convinced a whole 50% of the country to do that, to think like that. So now they're literally voting for people and throwing everything else away just because they get to depopulate. It's wild. I had to dance around certain words here, but you guys probably get what I'm getting at here. Let me know in the comments, why do you guys think people are so strong about being able to have abortions? And people like Joy Reid are so strong about not homeschooling your kids and sending them off and handing them off to the state and to the public school system. Why do you think that is? Let me know in the comments. What do you think about this whole Tim Pool versus Joy Reid, this whole Tim cast versus Joy Reid, and the disgusting and ridiculous statements that she was making? Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Tim Pool versus Joy Reid situation.